Going in 10. 3, 2, 1, go.
Message of the week this week is nutrition matters. Today I have Megan and Trish with me, and we are going to just start off by doing a quick brief of how you would do this in a class. Megan, we'll start with you.
So typically what I will tell the class is nutrition is all about fueling for whatever you're doing in life. And so for a lot of people, obviously when you come to the gym here, we're fueling for performance and CrossFit. Other than that, you're fueling for your daily life, and what that looks like is different for everybody. A lot of the things that you want to prioritize are proteins, carbs, and fats. And other than that, like you can kind of customize it based on your goals. So basically, nutrition is what you're putting into your body to sustain and fuel what you're putting out every day.
Love it. Trish?
The message is nutrition matters. And I think a lot of us realize that, but I don't think we always do that. And I think it's just a good reminder of how much nutrition can affect your daily life. And I always like to share my own example. When I first started CrossFit, it was like I was so into the fitness side of things. And I was a college student and didn't really care for my nutrition. Also didn't have a ton of money. So it was like I bought cheap things. And so I feel like I kind of had that turn of or someone had asked me, like, what am I eating on a daily basis? And it was like, what does that have to do with anything? Like, I'm working out really a lot and working out hard. And so that was when I kind of had the switch of like, oh, my nutrition does matter. And it started with the quality of it. And then I've learned over the years that the quantity matters as well. And so we'll get into what that means, I guess.
Perfect segue. So we're going to start with quality. What does it mean to have quality food in your diet? And why is that important? And how do we know if a food is a quality food?
Do you want to start on that one?
Sure. I think the best way to think of quality is like simple foods. So if you're looking at something, you should be able to know exactly what it is. And it has minimal ingredients, or if it does have a list of ingredients, you know what all of those ingredients are. So minimally processed, not coming in a box or a package is always ideal. And avoiding things that are usually packaged or in a crinkly wrapper.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of people will say to like shop the perimeter of the grocery store, like your meats, your vegetables, your whole grains, and all the things that are exactly that, like whole foods. Like Trish was saying, you want less ingredients in it. And another thing to look at is like the calories versus the nutrients. So like calorie dense foods are usually probably more satisfying for a moment. They're very satiating, they taste good, but when you look at like high volume, maybe they're less calorie dense, but they're very nutrient dense. Those foods you can eat in much higher volume and they keep you fuller longer and they're nourishing you. So, as far as the quality of food goes, there's always a balance. Like you have your whole foods, minimally processed, nutrient dense, and then sometimes like you want to throw in the other foods just because like, nutrition and dieting we always talk about should be a lifestyle, not something that like you feel like you have to do for a month and you cry every day because you hate it. Like,
Right.
That's kind of what I would say about quality.
Yeah, and I think that just kind of adding to the nutrient dense, that's going to keep you fuller for longer. I was actually thinking about this on the way in of like, have you ever ordered a salad from, I don't know, I would say like maybe not like
Panera?
Well, no, like even like I would say like a cafe where it's like romaine lettuce, and then usually your only option is like ranch, and like occasionally they'll be like
croutons.
it's a pizza salad. But one of the things that I don't like tomatoes, but I like kind of forced myself to start eating tomatoes because I've ordered salads and the only nutrient thing that's in there that seems nutrient is the tomatoes. So it's like I eat the tomatoes to try and get more nutrients because I knew that would make me feel more satiated, I guess, because kind of like and maybe we'll get into this, where like protein, carbs, and fats. It's like if you're adding more proteins and fats into your diet, you're going to feel more satiated. If you're adding more nutrients into your diet, you're going to feel more satiated. So if you're somebody who feels like they're constantly hungry, like add more nutrient dense foods and you're probably going to feel fuller. Like if I gave someone a bag of potato chips, you could probably eat the entire bag of potato chips and never really feel satisfied. But if I give you a bag of carrots, like it's going to be a lot harder to eat an entire bag of carrots because they're more nutrient dense. And so like the quality of the carrots are much better than the quality of potato chips.
Yeah, absolutely. And why is eating a quality diet important?
I mean, just kind of going back to you're gonna eat less food. Well, you might be eating more food for less calories. So again, going back to the carrots and the potato chips, you eat a bag of potato chips, I don't know, 500-600 calories. I couldn't tell you.
Maybe, yeah,
I could-
depending on the size.
There's
Is
a
it family size?
depending on your bag. But it would be a lot more calorie dense versus if you were to have a bag of carrots. So it's like you're getting more bang for your buck if you're having higher quality food versus poor quality food.
I would also touch on something Trish was saying earlier about how you feel, because we've all experienced this. Like if I'm gonna sit with my husband and we both eat an entire pizza together, and then we go eat brownie sundae, I'm like, I feel happy, but my stomach feels gross. And then I go to the gym the next day and I feel sluggish and my digestion's kind of goofy, and like, and again, those things totally do them, but it's like the better you fuel yourself with high quality foods, the better you're going to feel. And you kind of have to figure out what those things are that like trigger you or make you flare up and not feel so great. But I mean, that's one of the main reasons why I personally choose one thing over another, is because of the way it's going to make me feel.
I love that. I think another big part is like also just the vitamins and the vitamins and minerals you're going to be getting from those nutrient dense foods, right? Like a lot of people will have, I think the most common, oh, I could be wrong on this, but like the most common like vitamin deficiency is like sun,
C?
sun,
Vitamin D?
vitamin D,
Vitamin
orange
D.
juice, orange juice. Yeah,
Vitamin sun.
exactly. But like we need to consciously these days make sure we're getting vitamins wherever we can, whether that's through our food or you know sunshine or like whatever that looks like.
Yeah, and I think that, I mean, I've always thought of, I mean, food is fuel, which is that will kind of lead on to like our quantity, but it's also food is medicine. And I think that you can get a lot of things in your body by the type of food that you're eating. And so just like you had said, there's so many different types of food that carry vitamins and minerals, and I would even say like your fiber.
Yeah.
Like I feel like a very common supplement out there is a probiotic or a prebiotic, and like a lot of people have issues with their digestive system, and so it's just like if you eat more fibrous foods, and I would just say even more nutrient dense foods, you're probably going to be a regular person versus an irregular. And I think that your gut has a lot to do with how your body functions. And if you have an unhappy stomach, like everything else just like isn't very fun, whether that's just everyday living or coming into the gym. So if you can try and get as many nutrients in there, which maybe there's a little bit of a battle back and forth, because I know that some people have a hard time digesting like higher fibrous foods, but there's so many good things out there that you don't have to like, you might be limited to what you can have, but you should have plenty of options of like what you do like and what you don't like. And if you don't like broccoli, like you don't have to eat broccoli. And so I think trying to find options that are going to be good for you. And that's usually one of my first recommendations to nutrition is like, how can we add in more fruits and vegetables versus like, I don't want you to ever have French fries again. It's like, maybe let's start with getting fries and a side salad. Start with eating a side salad and then see what room you have for French fries or whatever that might be. So finding that balance as well.
Yeah, I like that. We also already mentioned a little bit of carbs, protein, and fat. So those are our macronutrients. So let's kind of actually break those down a little bit. What is a carb and why is it important to our body? What does it do for us? How does it support us?
You want to go for it?
I'm a little rusty. I haven't talked about like
That's all right.
I learned all this. I studied exercise science in college. Probably not a lot of people know that about me because I'm in marketing at the moment. So that was actually like one of my favorite things to learn about was like the body and the functions. And I just always remember like obviously protein is essential for muscle building.
Mm-hmm.
Carbs, you're looking at like quick energy. They're super good for your brain, like your brain function. And then, so I always remember too that fat burns on a carbohydrate flame. And so,
I like that.
you need carbs. Like people think I can go on a rabbit hole about this, but I like cut out carbs entirely, except for like fruits and vegetables for a while because I just wanted to get as skinny as possible. And it was horrible. Like I got so skinny, but I like couldn't do I was sleepy, my skin was dry, like I couldn't work out. So like that fat burns on a carbohydrate flame. Like you need carbs to properly like burn fat. And then fats also like they're great for your organs and another like great way of burning energy, but it's a little more long lasting. So
Yeah, I love that. Great. Let's just dig into all of them. That was
Yeah.
perfect. Yeah, that was perfect.
Yeah, I think that Meg obviously touched on each of them. Carbs are going to give you energy. And I think, again, it comes down to what people's goals are. I think that people don't realize how effective each of those macronutrients can be. And I would say if you're an athlete who's wanting to be competitive and doing multiple sessions a day, like carbs are going to be your friend. Like you need to eat carbs. And that's when I feel like I had the realization because I was kind of on when I started my nutrition journey, I started doing Whole30 where you're pretty much cutting out all processed carbs. So you're still having like you can have potatoes and you can have fruits and vegetables. So there's carbs in those things. But you couldn't have like any grains, you can't have any beans, and things like that. And so what that to me, it was like I was eating very high quality food, but my energy trying to do multiple sessions or trying to compete was not there. And so I started learning that carbs are going to fuel my training sessions before and after workout. So I was kind of more of a higher carb diet versus where I was previously, which is interesting because my weight didn't change that much. I was about the same. Like I kind of had the thought of like, if I eat carbs, I'm going to get fat, which depending on how many carbs you're eating and your activity level can affect that for sure. But I would say if you're on the end of higher competitive training, carbs are going to be very helpful, as well as protein. Like that's again, when you're trying to add things in, adding more fruits and vegetables, adding more protein. That's what's going to make things feel more satiating. Going back to the salad analogy, if you were just to have a salad, like, yeah, you could eat that and be maybe pretty satisfied from it, but not for long. But if you add a salad with some chicken breast or some steak or something like that, it's going to make you feel much more satisfied, right? And then fats are just kind of that same thing where I feel like they're one of the more essential things. And right now, where I'm transitioning from having a baby, I feel like that's something that I've kind of been focusing on a little bit more is like incorporating more fats because one, I have less time to eat, or I have to kind of pack in my meals for higher calories just because the time frame of eating, and then I'm not able to eat as frequently throughout the day. So it's like I'm trying to pack in more fats in each of my meals because I know that there's a lot of benefits of having good quality fats as well. So having a combination of all of them, obviously depending on what your goals are, might vary, and that's kind of where the macronutrients and tracking your macros and percentages can affect that. And I think that it's not a one size fits all where it's like your protein is always going to stay the same. Your fat's going to always stay the same. Your carbs are always going to stay the same. I think they're going to vary maybe from month to month, week to week, to whatever your goals are. So
I love that.
Yeah.
Let's do a quick little game, kind of.
uh-oh.
Just to give everyone some more ideas. Top 3 favorite. Well, let's start here. We're gonna do a couple. Top 3 favorite fruits.
Okay.
Go.
Watermelon, strawberries, pineapple.
Love it.
I don't know if I say my favorite. My most frequent eating is bananas, grapes, and apples.
Okay. Top 3 favorite vegetables.
Brussels sprouts.
What? It's like my least.
Really?
Oh dear. Spinach and I don't know, would you count a potato?
No.
Sweet
No.
potato?
No.
Potato is not a vegetable.
Fine.
It's a starch.
Fine.
I do love potato.
Broccoli.
Broccoli. Okay. Top 3 favorite veggies.
My favorite are cucumbers, zucchini, and I've been eating a lot of carrots lately, but I also love zucchini. There's a
They're
lot.
both in the top
Yeah.
3, so
I like them all.
And top 3 favorite carbs that are not a fruit or vegetable.
Potatoes.
Okay.
Go wrong with potatoes.
Yeah. Okay. Got
Both
potatoes.
forms of potatoes.
Okay, they're both gonna say potatoes.
I really like rice.
Sourdough.
And sourdough was my other answer.
Okay, so you got your 3. You got one more, Trish.
I probably have rice too. Those are my most 3 common.
Yeah.
ones. Yep.
Okay, and then top 3 favorite proteins.
Steak.
Yes, like absolutely steak.
Red meat. I don't know. I feel like I mean, I'm a beef farmer or grew up on a beef farm, so I feel like it's hard not to choose beef. But chicken thighs have been like some of our go-to prep lately. But yeah, we eat a lot of steak. We eat a lot of hamburger, chicken thighs.
Love it.
And then I would add I like a good like chicken sausage.
Okay.
Probably a little more on the processed side, but
They're so easy though.
yeah. Especially if you could find one that's like minimal ingredient. I like those. Oh, also eggs.
Eggs. Great one. Okay. I think this will be helpful for people because I don't think people can't always know how to decipher a healthy fat from a not healthy fat. So what are your top 3 favorite healthy fats?
Avocado
Great.
is on there. Nuts.
Yeah.
We eat a
nuts.
lot of mixed nuts. I feel like we've been on like a trail mix kick.
From the holiday party, you guys got a lot of
We
children.
did. We actually had that before because
Okay.
going through being a new mother, breastfeeding in the middle of the night, I was like, I need something to like snack on,
Uh-huh.
and I didn't want like unhealthy stuff. I mean, I feel like you can have unhealthy trail mix, but it was like mixed nuts was so easy to just like have on hand. So we've been on, but yes, it didn't help that we had extra for the Halloween party.
I'm a big cashew girl.
Oh, cashews and butter. Can't
Yeah.
go wrong with butter. Sourdough and butter.
Yes.
Love it. Now we're going to get into quantity. So let's start with what is quantity? You can sum it up pretty quick.
Making sure you're eating enough food for whatever your goals are.
Nice.
Or not eating too much for what your goals are.
Yeah. There you go. Okay. So the amount of food you're eating.
Yes.
So why is that important?
I think that it's pretty common for people to overeat the wrong things. It's really hard to overeat the right things. And so I think trying to find that balance of fueling yourself with enough good foods, mostly because I feel like, to my understanding, is like your metabolism burning like a fire, right? And if you are just throwing a bunch of like logs on the fire, you're probably gonna smother it. So I would say that's more common if someone is having like one massive meal throughout the day. But if you're having smaller meals throughout the day, like slowly adding logs to your fire, it's gonna burn more efficiently. And so I think that getting into habits of, I feel like it's a common, maybe common knowledge for me, but common to try and aim for 3 meals and 2 snacks throughout the day. So that's going to spread your meals out throughout the day where your body's going to burn more efficiently. Obviously, if you're not putting any logs on the fire, your fire is going to burn out. So I think that trying to find that balance of like eating frequently throughout the day, some bigger meals, some smaller meals, can help in the long run with your energy. And especially if you're trying to lose weight and build muscle, I would say that that's one of the most effective ways that you can do that.
Yeah, that's more of the piece that I feel like you can control when you're putting things into your body is like the calorie amount. Um, and going back to what you're saying about like losing fat or gaining muscle, like that's where that's going to fall into place is the quantity, because it's all calories in versus calories out. So if you're going to eat more calories than you're expending every day, you're in a calorie surplus, and that's going to make you probably gain weight. Whether that's like depending on what macros you're eating, could be fat, could be muscle, or most likely both. And then if you are eating less than you are expending every day, you're in a calorie deficit, which is probably going to cause you to lose weight. Or there's an area in the middle where you're just in maintenance. And so you're just trying to stay where you're at. Like you're content with your body composition, you're content with your energy. And so you just kind of find this like pretty equal calories in, calories out balance.
I like that. How do we know? How do we know how much someone should eat? How do we know how much we should eat?
The cool thing about nutrition is that you can experiment with lots of different things. And I think that that's, again, it's not like a one size fits all, and it's not even going to be a one size fits all for one person. Goals are going to change, energy is going to change. And you can start with something like tracking your macronutrients just to give you an idea of how many calories you're actually eating naturally, and then adjusting those numbers as needed. If you aren't into tracking, you can go based off of a hunger fullness scale, where it's just like, are you hungry? Are you full? Are you satisfied? Do you just want a snack? Like, where are you at with your body? And I think when you start paying attention to your nutrition, you start becoming a little bit more mindful of what's going on in your body, like being very in tune with your hunger fullness cues, and figuring that out kind of on your own in a way. And I think with your like if you are tracking your macronutrients, it could be based off of your BMR, which is like a very simple calculation that I think if you just like Google BMR calculator, it's going to go based off of your height, weight, and age, I think. So that's obviously going to vary depending on all of those numbers. But I would say that like most women are around 1,500 calories. Most men are probably closer to like 18 to 2,000. That's like a minimum, yeah, a minimum of calories that you should be eating. And then depending on your activity levels, that is going to increase. So if you're somebody who's very active, you're going to times that number by, again, I don't know the exact number, but that's going to be higher than what your baseline is. So like if you're a 1,500 calorie BMR and you're active 5 to 6 days a week, that might be a base of like 2,100 calories, right? And so you can be, is it mathematical with those numbers or technical with those numbers, and play around with them. Like just because I have Olivia set at 2,100 calories in her breakdown with her macronutrients, that doesn't mean it's going to work for Olivia, right? She's going to maybe track those for a little bit and notice that her energy sucks. She's really sore and she's hungry all the time. And so it's just like, that's telling me that her numbers are too low, that I probably need to increase her numbers based off of those things. So I think it's not as simple as it sounds, as like knowing exactly, but you can play around with it. And I don't think that it's one of those things that does take time. Like if I give Olivia her numbers and she's just like, this isn't working, it's like, it's been a week, Olivia, like let's try and figure out like what's going on. And I think that that's part of what we do with nutrition coaching is like we're constantly talking to our members or our clients of like, where's your energy at? Like, how's your body feeling? Are you hungry? Are you full? Like, let's start with those or those four things and then adjust as needed. If your energy is good, you're not sore, and you're, I don't want to say full all the time, but like you're satisfied with your food, like we probably don't need to adjust your numbers. So I don't know if that was too much.
No, I think that was great. I think
Okay.
that was really great. I just want to go back to the BMR number real fast again. That's like if you were to like lay down and not move the whole day, right?
Yes.
Like that's pretty much what you're burning just from your body doing what it does.
Yes.
Okay. Cool. Okay.
I want to add to something that was so eye-opening for me in the last like year and a half, honestly, because I've worked with a nutrition coach for a long time, and she brought this up to me, the whole like daily activity piece, because I used to think like, oh, I go to CrossFit every day, I'm active, and like not that that's not true, but it's like, okay, I work out for 1 hour and then I go home, and then it's like I work a remote job at my computer. So I'm like sitting the whole rest of the day.
Mm-hmm.
And so like that was really eye-opening for me when thinking about my calories, and why like I started walking a ton, because I just want to like keep moving throughout the day, and because I like to eat, and I'm like, well, I'm not sitting around on my butt, and like, and so I feel like that's a big thing too, is being mindful of like, I don't want it to sound like if you do CrossFit every day, you're not active, because you are, but like your 1 hour a day versus your like other 14 hours of the day are so important too. And that also plays a big role in like how much you should be eating every day, which are super eye-opening for me at least.
Yeah, and I think that again, everyone is different and everyone burns calories and loses weight differently.
Yes.
But one of the things that I thought was interesting, again, with my own fitness nutrition journey, is when I was working at a fitness camp, I was eating what they were eating. It's a weight loss camp. So it's like very calorie deficient, very minimal carbs. There's protein, but it's mostly protein and vegetables and like the meals that they're eating. And I had lost weight initially when I started working there. I worked there for about 5 years. When I had left there is when I started working with a nutrition coach. She had me increase my calories and I lost weight. And so it's just like, I feel like there's kind of like a misconception that if I want to lose weight, I have to eat less food, which isn't necessarily true. And I think that that's where things kind of get tricky, where it's just like some people might have success with cutting back on their calories, but I would say most people are probably so underfed that their body isn't burning effectively. And I would say it's pretty common for, and maybe just because I've seen it, but more common for women to eat way less calories and way less protein, and never lose weight. And so I think that that's something that I've tried to change or get into my clients' heads, I guess, is like, you need to eat more food and eat more protein if you're wanting to, one, gain muscle, and lose body fat. Because when you gain muscle, that burns fat. And so it's just like trying to flip that switch, which is, it seems contradicting that you need to eat more to lose, but it's just like, that's what's most effective.
Yeah, I agree. And how I've explained that in the past is like, well, if you're not eating enough, your body like takes that into survival mode and like clings on to those things so that it has energy for its future self. And then I also tell people, I'm like, if you want to burn off fat, you've got to give it something to burn.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's not going to run off of nothing.
Right.
You can't pour gasoline on the fire and hope it just catches. Right? You have to light the flame with it. Like the fire analogy, so I thought I'd stick with it.
Yeah, I like it.
Okay. Let me think of how I'm going to phrase this question. How can quantity and quality work together? Should we focus on both? Should we just focus on one? How would you guys go about that?
I kind of alluded to this earlier, where as far as the quality of food, like the higher quality of food, the more of it you can like fit into that kind of prescription of daily foods that you can eat. And then the lower quality of the food, the more calorie dense, the less of those you can eat. So kind of like what Trish was saying earlier, if you're someone like for her, she has to squeeze in bigger meals into less amount of time. And so to reach those calories, you kind of have to go for more of like the higher fats, the higher calories. Whereas if you're someone who eats less frequently throughout the day in smaller portions, you kind of spread those out. And then, or another thing is like if you're eating less often, but you want to stay super full, you just eat like a ton of meats and vegetables, and that'll keep you lasting throughout the day. So it's kind of that like, if you want to eat more, then eat higher quality. If you know, for whatever reason want to eat less, maybe eating like less quality foods, but also if you're in a calorie deficit and you only, let's say you only have like 1900 calories a day, like you want to stay full and eat those higher quality foods in surplus almost, because like we always talk about this, you're never gonna like get fat by eating vegetables all day long. Like it's just not gonna happen. And so that's kind of how the two work together, is like high, I would say volume is easier to eat the like higher quality foods.
I also, I mean, just because you had said deficit, I just want to also clarify, deficit does not mean 5 to 900 calories. Like a deficit could be, I mean, going back to our BMR, general BMR is 1500 calories for women. If you're active, what did I say? 2100 calories. If I use Liv as my example, if I want Liv in a deficit, her deficit might be 1900 calories, which is still more calories than probably what most women are eating in a day. So I just want to clarify, like when we say deficit, it doesn't necessarily mean like you're
This daunting number.
Yeah. And like I would say, I want to say never, but very rarely are you going to be eating under your BMR. Like that is something that like you should be eating at least your BMR. Anyways, going back to quality and quantity and like how to balance them together, is that what we were talking about? I feel like it comes down to like what your goals are. And I don't know if I would say if one's better than the other, but I would say if anything, lean more towards quantity of food. And I think that even to the extent where if you were somebody who was not active and like not coming to the gym, or only coming to the gym like once or twice a week, like quality of food is going to be more beneficial. I would say if you're somebody who's here 5 or 6 times a week, like quantity is probably going to be a little bit better too. Obviously, if you can have both of them, and just because we're saying quality and quantity, like you can still have rice and you can still have pastas and you can still have breads. Like you can still have those things. We're just not wanting to overeat those things. And so I think just trying to find a balance with both of them. And again, coming back to like adding in more fruits and vegetables into your diet. Like that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to cut out all these different things. I think the idea of adding more things is you're going to be so full from eating fruits and vegetables and protein that you're not going to want a midday bag of chips, or you're not going to want, or you might not have the crash in the afternoon that turns to usually grabbing a soda or whatever that might be. Because I think that when you add more quality things in, that just like automatically cuts out poor quality things. And so I think that starting with quantity will eventually get you to quantity of things. I hope that makes sense.
I feel like with my journey, I feel like the most balance I've ever been in my nutrition is when I decided to do both. Right? Like I feel like quantity can be like, okay, well, I'm gonna have a cheeseburger and fries for midday and then pizza at night. And technically that could fit in your calories, but then what happens is later in the night, you're like, well, here is some true food and some Reese's and some,
It
and
fits
that's
my
what
macros.
happens, right? And then it goes way over because you're like, I've hardly eaten today. But
Yeah.
really, with those 2 meals, you've already had 2,400 calories,
Yeah.
right? And then that quality piece sometimes is just doesn't feel as fun. But when you can put them both together, I feel like that's when I found the most balance. And I was like, oh wow, I like can fit in a Reese's and this good quality food, and I can have both, and I can fuel myself efficiently with both of these things. And I feel like that was like really helpful and eye-opening to me, and it took me a long time to get there.
Yeah.
But you can get there. It's good. Okay, last thing, diets. How do we feel about them? What are some diets that you've done? Give us a little rundown on what you guys think.
Good luck. Just kidding.
I
would
would just
say-
list off first, like
Yeah,
all
which
the
ones have you done?
I don't know if the only like diet I've done is Whole30, where it was like I was dedicated to doing it for 30 days, and that was about it. And it was more of like me and a group of girls every January did Whole30. Like that was just our thing, and we did it maybe 2-3 times. And so it was just like by the third time I was like, why don't I just like eat this way? Like it because it started into I did it for 30 days, and then like I did it for 30 days and like got right back to what I was doing. So I think that that's the hard part with with diets, is it's a roller coaster, right? It's just like if you are doing something super restrictive, like yes, it can be successful for the time that you're doing it, but as soon as you start adding those things back in, or if you have those things, like the chances of you gaining weight are much higher. And so when I say roller coaster, it's like you're going to lose weight when you're on the diet, and you're going to gain that weight back when you're off the diet. You're going to lose the weight when you're on the diet, and like you're going to go back and forth between those things. And I would say with Whole30, it was more of just like a reset of like, okay, getting through the holidays, I need to cut back on my sugar, I need to cut back on my alcohol. How can I do that? And so I kind of used that as a reset, but then after the 30 days, it was like I was back to drinking alcohol, and I was back to adding breads back into my life, or whatever that is. Not that those are bad things, but it's just like, to me, I wanted to try and balance those in my entire life versus just cutting it all out for a month and then adding it back in. So that's really only the diet that I've tried.
I've done a lot.
Let's hear it. Give us your experience.
When I was in like high school, my mom's whole gym, we did the paleo diet together. And that it's cool because it's more barbaric. It's like fruit, vegetables, legumes, not nuts, legumes.
No, I think you can
Or-
have nuts, but not legumes.
Not legumes. Yes,
Yeah.
you're right. And then like nothing processed, like everything had to be organic. Yeah. I cried. I couldn't wait for it to be over.
I think I cried with Whole30 too, as well.
Like I remember sitting there with like dried chicken and broccoli, and I'm like, this is awful. Like, why am I eating this?
PTSD. I also did. This isn't necessarily a diet. I was on the RP diet, so Renaissance periodization, and
That's like tracking.
it
right?
is, but it's like net carbs don't count, and like I don't know, but they just had my carbs super low, and I just remember being super unhappy with that. And then there was another season in my life, kind of talked about it earlier, where like I cut out pretty much every single carb possible, and I would eat like a crap ton of cantaloupe and like salads. And that was it. And again, I lost like 30 pounds. Granted that I don't think I really had 30 pounds to lose. Like my mom's friends were asking if I like had a problem, and
Your eyes started to sink into.
well, it was bad. Like and that actually, so I was doing that, and I literally would like lay in my bed and like watch food videos on my phone, just obsessing.
Like unhealthy food.
Yes. Like I would just watch other people eating them, and I was just like couldn't wait for my cheat days. That's another thing I'll get on a soapbox about is they're not cheat days anymore.
Just a day.
They're fun food days. That's what I call them. Even that. But anyway, that like once I started bringing carbs back in, it spiraled me into like binge eating. And I struggled with that for like a whole year. Like gained all the weight back plus some. That was the heaviest I'd ever been in my life. Like it was really bad, and it was really disordered too. Like I would come home from a restaurant and like be like, well, there goes my night, and then just sit in the pantry, and like I couldn't stop. Literally, like
Just like snack.
my family would go to bed, and I'd be like, ooh, chips. Ooh, I'll eat this cake. Like it was terrible. So yes, I've done many dieting things in my life, and it's like you said, a roller coaster. And it wasn't until I'm one of those people where I know people are like, oh, just do like intuitive eating, but like tracking for me has helped me get myself in line and stay in control of that. Like I have to, like it keeps me in order, it keeps me structured, and it's like super good for my brain. So yeah, learning like what macros work for me and finding balance, like that's all. Yeah, I have like a lot about diets in my heart.
I do remember doing a detox with my sister once, and I feel like it was like some dandelion tea detox. Like it was like I remember the smart water, and it was like lemon, salt, and then like a tea bag, and that was like your first 2 meals of the day.
Oh wow.
So like I had 2 of these bottles for my breakfast and my lunch, which is water. Like it's there's zero
There's no
calories in there.
substance.
And
Yeah.
so we would do that. I can't remember. It was like, and I guess it's essentially fasting. So it's like we didn't eat anything until after 1 o'clock, and then it was like you could have 1 meal. And so I don't think it lasted very long. And it was my first year out of high school, and I was living with my sister. And I think it was also just like I was really scared to get the freshman 15. And so my sister was also just had babies and was like, I'm ready to like get rid of my weight. Like, let's do this thing together. And I was also probably didn't have weight to lose. And so I had done this detox, and kind of the same thing when you had said that people asked you if you were sick. I remember going home and like my family being like, are you okay? Because like my eyes, like I had dark rings under my eyes, and they like sunk into my head, and like you could see my cheekbones. And I feel like that was like my realization of like, oh, like maybe this isn't as healthy as I thought it was. Even though a detox is supposed to be healthy because it's getting rid of, I don't know, the bad things in your body, but it's just like detoxes are silly. So yeah, that I do remember doing that as a teenager.
Yeah. I did paleo, which I actually didn't hate. Like I feel like I eat like that most of the time anyways. But it was also like a paleo but also skewed because I was like I'm letting myself eat peanut butter, like peanuts. Like
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not gonna be like crazy about this, but I will do it. I tried intermittent fasting, but then I was also tracking my calories, so I was like, this is contradicting because it's supposed to make it so you eat less calories, and I'm just eating the same like, less time. So
I'm just condensing them into
yeah,
a shorter period.
it's like, don't do that. But when I was younger, I think that I would just like weird stuff. Like in 5th grade, I think is when my highest time of doing this. But I was like, I'm never gonna do this again. Like I'm never gonna drink soda again. I'm never gonna eat candy again. Never gonna eat chips again. And like that's just like the weird kid I was. Obviously, those things made their way back into my life, except for soda. But other than that, I mean, yeah, I've never loved dieting. Definitely macro tracking has worked the best for me. I feel pretty good about not tracking and still being able to like have hold it together for the most part. But I usually do track at least a few times a year to like see where I'm at.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of benefit to tracking because it brings a lot of awareness to your food, and especially if you don't know what protein, carbs, and fats are, that's a great way to learn what those are. And there's so many different apps that are out there. But I think that the biggest thing is like you've got to try to figure out what works for you, and like again, depending on what your goals are, that might vary from whatever your goals are might be. If you're planning to get married, if you're planning to go on vacation, if you're planning on what to do a CrossFit competition, it's just like all those things are going to look very different. Like if you're wanting to be as lean as you want, like we had my 30th birthday last year and we were going to Mexico, and like my goal was to look good in a bikini. Like it was like I didn't really care what, not necessarily like what I had to do, but it was like I was really focused on the quality of food. I was still tracking my macronutrients, but it was like I feel like I was really trying to dial in like lean foods, fruits and vegetables, and like I don't even know if I was on a deficit, but it's just like obviously your goals can change depending on what they are. And that might just be like maintenance. Like I feel like especially getting into the holiday season, if we can get through the holiday seasons without gaining too much weight, like even a little bit of a gain I think is okay. But if you can get through that season maintaining where you are, I think is an absolute win.
Yeah, I agree. Anything else you guys want to say on the topic?
I could say a lot more, but
all right, we will cut it off there. If you guys have nutrition questions or want guidance or anything, you have a plethora of coaches that want to talk about it. So please let us know. We are happy to give more insights and also guide you in the path that we think could be beneficial for you. So don't forget, everyone, nutrition matters.